Housing Minister says NHC property sales under probe. PNG Power contracts company to supply lay. And Education Minister says TFF funds ready.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining me for Saturday's news. Housing and Urbanisation Minister John Kaupa has told Parliament that most properties owned by National Housing Corporation were sold without proper notices. Minister Kaupa said work on reviewing all these sales has commenced. The Housing Minister was responding to questions in Parliament following the recent evictions around the country.
Since December 2017, over 10 evictions have been registered and publicly known. Housing Minister was questioned in Parliament this week over fake titles used in recent evictions. Makam MP Tony Iguan says those using fake titles must be held responsible by NHC.
Tokliano mibla usato line woglo wokin silakai na isuim narabla double paper lo wampla house.
Recent evictions in Ley and Port Moresby have seen former public servants being evicted. Most have lived on the property for the past 30 years. The Makam MP says all these must come to a stop.
All evicted lo house blongol. We only got paper finish lo display house. All kirab nugud police want them all man karim bus type na go kamabosem terrorist line go terrorize all man na house blongol.
Housing Minister John Kaupa responded, stating past NHC management was selling NHC properties without the consent of line managers. He says details of sale remain undisclosed.
Awesome na plan is sales sa working law managerial level, where executive under be working sales where all operation tamblo inosawe.
Minister Kaupa also told the House that a recovery team is going around the country to take account of all NHC properties. He also urged property owners to be mindful and report any sale that is suspicious.
Mibla working plan the work finish. Law recovery exercise. Law all get a hub law provinces. So that all get a asset register long housing corporation must come up place clear. Because this land is source for revenue for housing corporation.
A report of the recovery exercise will be made public. Jack Lopave Jr., National EMTV News.
The total number of properties owned by the National Housing Corporation will be made public. Housing Minister John Kaupa says the asset register exercise has progressed. This will also include properties sold without following proper procedures.
Me also Nupla Minister go, me like working some recovery exercise so that all Papua New Guinean na citizen of this country must sell or property. Na asset register must come up place clear. So that as a new minister, me like trying best to provide him affordable houses for every citizen of this country.
PNG Power has entered into a lease agreement with another company in Ley to provide electricity to residents and business houses. State Enterprise Minister William Duma says only one turbine at the Yonki Dam in Eastern Highlands is operating, and that has affected electricity supply into Ley. Duma made these remarks in Parliament when responding to Ley MP John Rosso's concerns on continuous power outage in Ley City.
The Ley MP wanted answers as to why the second largest city in Papua New Guinea continues to experience blackouts and the approach the government is taking to address this.
In the last 2 weeks, we've had major disruptions to the power supply there. It's affected a lot of businesses and individuals in Ley, causing a lot of damages. Can you please advise us what PNG Power is doing about it to rectify the power situation in Ley and make it stable for once and all?
In responding, State Enterprise Minister William Duma gave an insight into the deteriorating turbines at the Yonki Dam. Duma says of the 2 turbines, only one has been operating for the last decade, and the ministry is planning to purchase new turbines.
Mr. Speaker, Due to a number of factors, no one was able to pay attention to the deteriorating power generation system at the Yonki, and we actually back another 10 years in terms of maintenance and refit of the turbines and the generating capacity in Yonki, and that is why I can take the opportunity to announce to Parliament that Cabinet has actually given approval in principle for the new Rumble 2 project, which hopefully will help rehabilitate and help restore some of the energy needs that we have. And
a supplementary question was raised by Maprik MP John Simon on the government's purchase of the 2 standby generators in 2014 worth over 90 million kina.
The reason was to support power in 2 major cities, Lae and Mosby. And by now I think the 2 cities shouldn't have a problem with power if those reliable gensets were in the country by now.
Duma's response was that because of the increase in demand for electricity, there is need to purchase more standby generators.
In the interim, PNG Power have actually entered into a lease arrangement with a Korean company to provide backup service to Lae, but again, it is not working. We've had some problems with generation capacity, so Mr. Speaker, I must assure the good member for Lae that we are not ignoring it, and we are taking steps that are necessary to actually rehabilitate and make sure we have reliable power supply.
Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have more of the day's other stories when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Education Minister Nick Kuman says the funding of 100 million kina will be accessible next week by schools around the country. In a statement, Minister Kuman said the funding will be paid into school accounts for those that receive TFF funding. All schools have been urged to submit their census forms to be included. Minister Kuman says schools must liaise with the provincial TFF coordinator so schools get the right amount of funding. The 100 million kina was not specified if it was for 2017 or for this year. West New Britain Governor Sasindran Mutavel says carryover grants must be released to allow delivery of services. Governor Mutavel says West New Britain is projected to generate more internal revenue, however, it is not being realised. He made this statement when presenting the 2018 provincial budget to Treasurer Charles Abel in Port Moresby.
West New Britain Provincial Assembly passed a budget of 208 million for 2018 this week. Following the ending down of the budget in Kimbe, Governor Sasindran Mutavel presented the budget to the Treasurer this week in Port Moresby.
Our total appropriation being 208,246,452 kina. Of course, it's based on our projected revenue.
Governor Mutavel spoke highly of the outstanding grants the province has missed out since 2017. He says delays in functional grants is also another issue. Sectors like health and road can be fixed at the provincial level if funds were given on time.
So one peculiar thing we notice is like the delay of receiving money, and especially receiving towards the end of the last quarter. So that carries also significant portions comes as unspent. Even out of these 112 million, almost 50% goes only for personal emoluments. That is like 66 million kina. And then the other functional grants stands at 12 million kina. And the significant amount, 31 million kina, 31.1, is also going for our PSIP, DSIP and Ward SIP 31.1.
One area Governor Mutavel wants to see improvement is the collection of the province's internal revenue. He says more needs to be done in collections from liquor and motor vehicle tender fees. Treasurer Charles Abel says West New Britain is among other provinces who have complied in presenting their annual budget. He says the national government will work closely with the provincial governments to improve the provincial and national economy.
But more importantly, we want to increase the engagement with provincial governments so we can do things like give them some opportunity to increase their internal revenue. And that is why we will be bringing through Cabinet to the floor of Parliament a small provision to allow some collection of sales tax on beer and cigarettes in particular in a limited way that won't then affect their GST collections.
government requirements.
Meanwhile, Talasia MP Francis Maneke urged the treasurer to fast-track the Chinese Exim Bank loan for the Oskins-Kimbe 4-lane highway.
The 4-lane road for Kimbe must eventuate this year. Since that has been advised for some time ago, we want it to happen this year so that things can be moving as it is, as designed by the government.
Jack Lapavet Jr., National EMTV News.
Chief Justice Sir Salamo Injia is expected to officiate at the opening of the 2018 legal year in Enga. Members of the National Judicial and Magistral Services, including lawyers and the disciplinary forces, will take part in a parade on Monday, 12th February. The opening of the legal year will coincide with the welcoming of the new residential judge for Wabeg. Justice Ravunama Auka will be based in Enga to hear cases at the Wabeg National Court. Porabada Primary School is yet to see the promised 780,000 kina from the Infrastructure Development Grant be utilized for maintenance on their school property. This amount was allocated for the rebuilding of a condemned classroom and maintaining of the much-needed fence. Chairman Jerry Taumaku says that the project has been abandoned and the school is facing great difficulties with its infrastructure.
Porabada Primary School in the Central Province has enrolled 811 students for the 2018 school year, with 25 teaching staff housed on school grounds. With the recent floods, the school has faced many difficulties.
Central Provincial Government for the last couple of 4 years. And last week we had so many complications with our teachers' houses, the classroom itself, and we have recently one of our toilets fell off because the work that was done by Central Provincial Government was not done properly in 2014. As a result, it has affected our school.
Chairman Jerry Taumaku told EMTV News that the provincial government was going to provide funding for maintenance work at the school, but none of that has come true.
Through the governor of Central Province, they actually told us the works department were going to do a scope of work on the maintenance and the building itself, the repairs and the fencing because of the king tide. Okay, when they actually told us that there was 780,000 to do this fencing, the condemned classroom, the classroom is still condemned, nothing has been done, fencing is incomplete. The coal fields are not done, they've gone away. Once they left this, abandoned the project, 2 weeks, the collapse, the section of the fence collapsed.
Due to its setting near the ocean, the importance of a fence is vital. The school was closed for all of last week because the water level rose, damaged the fence and flooded the campus. The chairman says that he is very worried that the buildings might collapse any time while classes are in session. He appeals to the current governor, Robert Agarobe, to address these problems.
A leaking, it's a real problem for the school. We appeal to the new governor to look at this issue quickly and address it as soon as possible. I am intending to do a last letter to the provincial administrator, Mr. Gairaga, to tell us where the 780,000 from our IDG grant has gone to. We cannot see any results of that, how it was spent. We want to know that.
Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National EMTV News.
You're with Saturday's News. Correctional Service working with the Red Cross on recognizing rights of those incarcerated. That story and more when we come back. Welcome back to the news. Members of the PNG Correctional Service Management Hierarchy met with the International Committee of the Red Cross to discuss the humanitarian needs and protecting the lives of those who suffer from violence and those incarcerated. CS Commissioner Michael Waipo says discussions covered the many areas of support provided by ICRC, which can benefit both victims and working staff. ICRC Protection Team Leader Barnaby Roud says the ICRC provides safety and protection of people around the world who are caught up in situations that are inhumane.
The International Committee of the Red Cross had a closed-door meeting to discuss possible areas of assistance to strengthen the detention services in the country and the welfare of workers in correctional services. While the material needs are most needed in correctional facilities, an area of accountability such as water and sanitation was also highlighted in the meeting. Correctional Service Commissioner Michael Waipo, who welcomed the initiative, says while there is limited capacity of providing staff knowledge, it's an important opportunity for correctional service to work in partnership with ICRC.
This now gives us an opportunity to appreciate from their findings what is out there and what's impacting on the lives of the prisoners against prison standards globally.
He says staff knowledge on the duty of care for inmates and the scope of practice is crucial to understand.
Our staff need to be made more aware of what is required of them in terms of duty of care to our citizens who are in custody. And I think through this arrangement we'll be able to better address it by way of awareness and things like that being conducted.
ICRC Protection Team Leader Barnaby Roud says the most important thing to remember is the rehabilitation, environment and security of those in danger, understanding the duty of care and the restrictions that all should abide by.
You know, the ICRC, International Committee of the Red Cross, we are a humanitarian organization. We work in many countries over the world, especially in places where there is a conflict or a situation of violence caused by men. So we have different activities to assist people who are affected by situations of unrest. One of these activities is to visit places of detention and to work closely with the detaining authorities to help reach international standards.
He alluded that work is in progress in certain parts of the country in ensuring that people caught in difficult situations are treated fairly.
In correctional institutions means that they need to be rehabilitated, and for that they need to be in a proper environment. They need to be taken care of properly, and of course security is an issue, but rehabilitation is also as important, and we think the correctional services and the ICRC really recognize this, and we're working for this goal.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
Soldiers from the 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment will still respond to other security operations within Papua New Guinea apart from the major APEC operation. 1R PIR Commanding Officer Lieutenant Colonel Boniface Aruma says while the battalion will be leading PNG Defence Force in the APEC operations, it will still send soldiers to other national emergencies.
In essence, what this means is that we must be able to respond to multiple tasks at any one time. That we must be able to support APEC 2018 and still retain the ability to respond to any of our 4 core tasks at a moment's notice. We will develop and implement realistic and relevant training during our readying and ready stage. As such, quality training increases our edge and sharpness to appreciate, plan and react accordingly.
Port Moresby police are gathering information on an armed robbery involving salaries of the PNG Sports Federation. At 4 p.m. yesterday, NCD police confirmed that a robbery had occurred just near the Sir John Guise Stadium at Waigani. Police were not able to give details of the incident or how much money was stolen. But NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Pero Andrano says police are now working with PNGFS to collect more information. The Markham River continues to pose a threat to villages and roads in the Morobe province. Last month, a section of the road past the Markham Bridge collapsed and contractors have been working on diverting the river back to the mainstream. Locals say they feel threatened by the current state of the road.
This is a section of the straight stretch road along the Markham River past the Markham Bridge. Part of it collapsed late last month and sediments continue to be washed away.
Crown start to pull down, you know, taking long time. In 1 week's time, I'm cold ya. 1 o'clock morning, me penny was sun up lo road, lo colda straight, me sun up me looking. Colda start to loose. Oda only go sun up look stab ya, I must travel colda now put on and no stab ya.
Christopher Kaniwa is a local who says the villagers are fearful that the river might reach them. 10 families and their households will be directly affected if more of the road erodes and collapses.
Time rain put on. I'm blessed upon a fret, I sleep because I'm close to the water. Life play me play embrace and I'm blessed up.
Last week, contractors started working on building barriers against the river while diverting it back to the mainstream. They will be working on placing stone baskets to protect the road. This is temporary until permanent work is done. This stretch of road under threat is a link to the Huon Gulf, Wabulolo and Minyamia districts and also to the economic activity in the area. Hundreds of villagers use this highway every day, including personnel and trucks from the major companies that operate in the area. The locals are calling on the government to address this problem before it's too late.
I'm service plo papa ni kini na morope I'm stalo disla road na life plemi blaman tu stalo tlahape I'm stalo hand blongol.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
Turning overseas, a huge medical breakthrough could give infertile women new hope of having a baby. British researchers have grown eggs entirely outside the womb, but there's already debate over whether it should be allowed.
Ruth Wood survived cancer but lost the ability to have children.
It's earth-shattering. You feel like the bottom has literally dropped out of your world.
Now for thousands of infertile women there's new hope. Scientists at the University of Edinburgh have for the first time grown human eggs in the lab using early ovarian tissue.
We can get the most immature stage all the way through to maturity.
It's a tremendous breakthrough. It raises all sorts of potential.
It gives hope to previously infertile women like those who had cancer treatment as children and older women who have trouble growing good quality eggs.
That older woman, instead of having to use donor eggs, can again use eggs that are genetically her own.
Anything that can provide you with hope and comfort is fantastic.
Researchers here in the UK still have a lot of work to do before their breakthrough leads to more women having babies. Only 1 in 10 eggs is reaching maturity and they've yet to grow a fertilised egg. But still, they are now hopeful that can be done.
But it may not be legal under laws designed to stop cloning.
These eggs produced by this procedure might be said to be produced from cells rather than taken from a woman's womb.
Almost every advance involving science and babies sparks passionate debate. This will be no different.
We have Trukai Sports up next. Stick around for that.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Steamships Rackets Club in Moresby hosts children every weekend for squash and tennis coaching. Every Saturday between 9 to 11 a.m., school-aged children are seen enjoying a game of squash or tennis. Squash, a once dying sport in the country, is using these coaching activities to develop future squash players.
Squash, a once thriving sport in the country, is slowly making a comeback. The Steamships Racket Club in Port Moresby is a great place to bring children over on Saturdays to learn how to play squash or tennis and also to keep fit. These kids are currently taking part in the Junior Squash Development Program, coached by PNG's #1 male squash player, Madako Suari Jr.
Our 2018 Junior program just started last week Saturday, and this week it's it's been good with a couple of good juniors who have turned up for training, and we're hoping to build them up to follow in the steps of the two juniors that have gone ahead. And
recognizing the program, the Oceania Squash Federation will be giving squash coaching accreditation courses to the coaches of Port Moresby Squash Fraternity next weekend. The junior squash coaching program runs throughout the year and is open to the general public. The squash team hopes to have more children join in the program in the coming months.
Christopher Whitchurch and Amity Alakos, who have been part of our elite junior program in 2017. They've been training under my care for about 6 months, and we prepared for the Oceania Junior Championships in Redcliffe and Australian Junior Open in the Gold Coast this year, and we did well. We came back with the results we wanted.
The current juniors representing PNG were on various Australian tournaments over the past 2 months, were also back in the country. Christopher Whitchurch and Amity Alakos were on the courts this morning. Whitchurch, who is preparing for the upcoming North Queensland qualifiers in Cairns next week, says he is ready.
Hopefully I'll do well because I know most of my opponents there, so it should be good.
Stacey Yellow, National, EMTV Sports.
The Department for Community Development, Youth and Religion is using sport as a platform to promote its community development agendas. The department officially presented the uniforms for their women's netball team to their Minister Soroy Eoe and Secretary Anna Solomon. The locally designed uniforms had awareness messages about stopping domestic violence and other important community development messages.
Many issues such as domestic violence, child abuse, sorcery-related violence and others are just a few issues which need more awareness, and sporting arenas are a comfortable environment to interact and discuss many of these issues. Upon launching the 2018 media strategy of the Department for Community Development, Youth and Religion, the department also showcased its new netball uniforms.
The message we want to get across to all the women in netball is a lot of them, they don't know what we do and what the department is all about. And half the time, I'm forgetting netball and I'm explaining to people. So I think I'm going to stop that, and everything is on the dress now.
The DFCDR netball team has been participating in the Public Servants Netball competition in Port Moresby. They have 2 teams in the competition and both teams are currently running first on the ladder. While on the court, the team is making use of the opportunity to raise awareness on certain community development issues. The new uniforms are a part of the department's 2018 media strategy to tap into merchandising important community messages. Stacey Yallo, National, EMTV Sports.
Sporting federations in the country today held a meeting with High Performance PNG to familiarize themselves with the services they provide to their athletes and coaches. High Performance Manager Cornelius Papau says having such a gathering is one way of keeping the federations informed of the many available services that can help both athlete and coach.
At least more than 20 sporting federations in the country attended the Champions Workshop program today, headed by High Performance PNG. The aim of the program was to introduce services and programs available at High Performance PNG and to inform individual federations on what High Performance can do for their athletes and coaches.
We've seen that through this workshop today, we've seen that it's quite a number of workshops that we run throughout the year, and now we have seen this information. Today's workshop have really synced into them. So we've got the weightlifting coach Jeffrey Roby, acknowledged High Performance and mentioned that like this information is really they need it for the athletes and also to assist the NF to progress.
He says with the Commonwealth Games around the corner, it is timely that the program was held and for federations to bring forward their coaches, especially the athletes, to prepare them for the Games.
We would like to prepare athletes and coaches in a great time frame that they prepare well to the events and producing better results during the event.
Head coach of table tennis Ray Loy says the program was very beneficial. He said having a representation at this year's Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast, Australia, only shows how hard the Federation has worked for to get there. 10 federations in the country are already preparing their athletes for the Commonwealth Games. These codes include squash, table tennis, swimming, triathlon, athletics, lawn ball, rugby sevens, shooting, weightlifting and boxing. Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
Stay tuned. Trukai Sports continues after this break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To cricket, and unlike the previous ICC Cricket World Cups, next year's edition will see only 10 teams battle for the prestigious prize in world cricket. And that is why the Hebo PNG Barramundis have a much bigger task at hand now, and that is to qualify for the World Cup. After finishing 4th on 16 points in the Division 2 of the World Cricket League Championship last year, the Barras made the cut for the qualifiers. The qualifier is another steep climb they will have to overcome in order to make their historic World Cup debut. Meanwhile, under-19 Garamut Joey Tau has proven quite the batsman, having taken a total of 10 wickets at the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup earlier this month in New Zealand. Tau is now also part of the Barras train-on squad en route to Brisbane today. The Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup Southern Leg kicked off day 3 of competition at the Connie Tigers Oval in Waigani, Port Moresby. After 3 days of competition, they're gearing up for the finals tomorrow.
The Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup competition has been running for the past few years. The interest has grown, with many teams registering to take part and spectators flooding the field. This year, a total of 16 teams are taking part in the tournament.
It's been going well, except we are running out of time all the time, and we had to push 2 games from yesterday, the last 2 games, to open up the day today. We had the 5th game of the day today, and hopefully by the end of today we should have the pool winners of the 4 pools decided.
Many teams have shown great enthusiasm in winning a golden pass to proceed to the next stage.
It has been very, very strong and unpredictable this year. With the teams playing last year first time and coming to the competition second again, and competition is so high, with a number of Digital Cup players playing here, as well as Port Moresby A-grade players and other players from the other leagues, you know.
A few teams have stood out in the first 2 days of competition.
Teams have had their ups and downs, but the team from Moresby South, they call themselves University Aladdin, the competition hot favourites, the 9 Mile Giants. The 9 Mile Giants, they are favoured to take out this competition.
The finals will be held tomorrow, with the winner to receive a golden pass, continuing to the next phase.
2 winners from each of the pools will be going into the quest of the semi-finals, and then the 4 winners will go into the preliminary finals and the grand final later on for the gold pass in the afternoon tomorrow.
Elijah Levet, National, EMTV Sports.
Hohola Suburban Rugby League today saw up to 16 teams lock horns under the Port Moresby Heat. The event saw the top 8 teams in B grade and top 8 in A grade in contention.
From 120 teams since the start of the competition from September last year, the Hohola Off-Season Rugby League is nearing its final stages. To start the first match in B grade, it was a clash between the Freeway Bumpers and SSR Brothers. In the first 5 minutes of the game, the inexperienced SSR Brothers were too quick for the Freeway Bumpers, who scored their first try but were off the mark with the conversion. With only 15 minutes each way, the first half ended with SSR Brothers 4, Freeway Bumpers 0. In the second quarter, Freeway Bumpers came back strong enough in their defense, just the way the SSR Brothers did, ending the game at full time with SSR Brothers leading with 4 points, Freeway Bumpers 0. The second match in the A-grade division saw Warriors take on the reigning champions for the last 6 years, Talks Mix Dogs. In a tough encounter, Warriors, who proved too strong for the mixed dogs, scored their first try straight after running into the field. Still in the quarter, mixed dogs also scored their first try, bringing the score to 4-all with conversion unsuccessful. Lucky enough for the Warriors, after 2 penalties caused by the mixed dogs, Warriors took advantage, scoring 2 successful conversions, bringing the final score at full time to Warriors 8, mixed dogs 4.
I think so far 6 or 7 guys only been helping him to various this is like all absolutely like must be Vipers, got Miox, Gorgon Linus, Hella Woodman, Late Tigers.
Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
Overseas, and the 2018 Winter Games have officially been declared opened after a historic ceremony in Pyeongchang. North and South Korea marched under a unified flag, and the U.S. Vice President was seated closely to dictator Kim Jong-un's sister as the world's best athletes braved the cold for a spectacular show.
30 years since their last Olympic Games, now Korea launches its next. A nation where the drums of war are a constant beat in the background, tonight the theme was all about peace. A showcase of culture, present and past, much of it delivered by the high-tech of the future. Here, 1,200 drones in a synchronised show, a record for the most used in a performance. It was difficult to tell what was real, what was not, but the result was spectacular. And in a change to Olympic tradition, they brought the athletes on early so they could watch the show after first being at the centre of it. The Jamaicans jived in, while Team Bermuda braved the chill and wore shorts. Nothing compared with this.
And yes, he has taken the shirt off.
One-man Tongan team, Peter Torfo Tafua, repeating his famous Rio performance. Then, no flag, no uniform, the Olympic athletes of Russia.
A unique moment.
The team stripped of its identity after the national doping scandal. But the key moment was this. The united team of North and South Korea.
It's a statement to the world. The Olympics doing what politics and diplomacy have not been able to do.
North Korea's cheer squad, flown in especially, screamed loud, while South Korea's president shook hands with the sister of North Korean tyrant Kim Jong-un.
We are all touched by this wonderful gesture.
But there was no peace at the other end. She and US Vice President Mike Pence spent 3 hours looking everywhere but at each other. Thanks to the Korean alphabet, Australia was later than usual. Waited in the tunnel, they celebrated more than the march.
Happy birthday, dear Nate! Happy birthday to you!
Snowboarder Nate Johnson's birthday.
Didn't they tell you they all came for my birthday?
Australia!
27 of the 51-strong team marched. Our snowboard world champion Scotty James held the flag high as a scattering of Aussies screamed in support.
All the guys and girls just look so excellent out there. That makes you super proud to be an Australian.
There has never been as much excitement or expectation about an Australian Winter Olympics team as there has been for this one. There's a quiet confidence the team's Vancouver record, 2 gold, 1 silver, might be matched, even beaten here in Pyeongchang.
It was phenomenal hearing all the cheers and everything. It was phenomenal to be here.
A moment Scotty didn't want to let go.
So I was really putting a delay on that so I could soak up the lap a little bit more.
And the athletes stuck back at the village, cooked up their own ceremony and marched through the kitchen.
Swing that flag, girl!
Also making light of it all,
I thought it was a beautiful thing.
Donald and the dictator. Kim is a closet Australian.
You're from Melbourne, what are you doing?
Yes, my real name is Howard.
The world also mocked the moment the Olympic cauldron was lit, no doubting Korea's excitement as the 23rd Winter Games was officially launched.
And that's it for Trukai Sports tonight. We'll have the weather details up next.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow, in the southern region, fine, although cloudy at times in Port Moresby, mostly fine in Daru, a shower or two in Alotau and Kerema, and showers tonight in Popondetta. In the Momase region, thundery showers in Lae and rain showers in Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, thundery showers in Lorengau, a shower or two in Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe, and mostly fine in Buka. And in the Highlands region, cloudy periods in all centres. Forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. Strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of northern PNG Indonesian border through Vanimo to Aitape, Wewak to Bogia, Medang to Long Island and New Guinea Islands. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema, Yule Island to Hood Point to Samarai Island, with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of Finschhafen to Vitia Strait, Dampier Strait to Siasi Islands to Long Island, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Long Island to Medang, to Bogia to Wewak, Aitape to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 2 to 3 meters. And waters of New Britain to New Ireland and Bougainville, seas of 2 to 2.5 meters. Ocean forecast for PNG areas. In the Coral Sea, seas slight to moderate with southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas slight to moderate with northwest to westerly winds at 10 to 20 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas rough with northwest winds at 25 to 34 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight to moderate with northwest winds at 10 to 20 knots.
Were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the news, sports and weather for Saturday, the 10th of February 2018. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.